did you first of all get into cycling yourself?
I got in by accident, as a matter of fact. My brother and they were in a cycling club in the 50s, 40s and 50s. And he said to me one day, he said, there's a sports meeting out in Dunhill. At that particular time, the NACA used to run sports meetings. And they'd have a reason. In the various parishes, they'd have their field days and things like that. And Dunhill was, their sports meeting was a very famous one. But he said, come on, he said, take part in the race. And I went out, there was four people in the race. There was Tommy Maguire, who's still with us, thanks be to God, the late Dick Galvin, and Philip Flynn. And Philip Flynn, by the way, was from St. John's, he lived in St. John's Park. And myself. Dick Galvin was the fourth man.
And where were you living at this stage?
I was living on the Cork Road.
Okay. And you went in a race?
In a track race, grass track, sports meet, and I got second. The other two dropped out. So, but that was my
that
first.
hooked you then?
Well, I'm not sure it was hooked me, but I just had to keep going because my brother gave me his bike.
And so that was, were they racing bicycles at that stage?
Oh, they would have been, yeah, and I tell you now, this bike was known as the Red Skeleton. All was on it was a saddle, handlebars, a frame, two wheels, a chain wheel, and a back sprocket, and it would have been fixed wheel. You know.
Oh, was there any gears?
No gears, no nothing. And now when you're riding track, if you look at the track, there's no gears or no brakes.
Okay. So then you started at that stage, and then did you race competitively as you?
I did indeed, no. But I had one or two wins, which would be regarded as small wins, but wins nevertheless.
Yeah.
And the one that I remember most would be down in the People's Park. The club used to organise a sports meet, and the sports meet is down in the People's Park. Went back to 1894. The track was made by WGD Goff. And the sports meet was there. As a matter of fact, in 1896, was a man by the name of Harry Lennon won our first world championship, and he also won the Goff Shield. Now the Goff Shield is on display down in the Waterford Museum. So I remember I just won that race, and I remember the commentator, the late Michael O'Brien, and the way he described it was, first over the line was Muiris O'Ceallaigh, champion of the local area. So that was the first time I ever was mentioned as champion.
And speaking of which, your name, was your family always kind of Gael goers?
No. I was the only Gael goer, insisted on the Muiris O'Ceallaigh bit.
Right.
You know,
and why was that?
Because I have a fondness for the language and the promotion of it. And
where did you get that from?
I tell you, it wasn't from beatings in school anyway, but I had it. I always had it, believe it or not.
So from the first time you went to school, you liked the Irish language?
I just got a grip of it.
And was that in Mount Sion you went to?
Canucksheen, yeah.
Okay. And at that time then, a lot of stuff was taught through Irish, wasn't it?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. And you're saying you didn't like necessarily the way they taught, but you liked...
Yeah, but as a matter of fact, they taught Latin as well.
Yeah. Latin through Irish?
Through Irish, yeah. And to be honest with you, that's... I think I had a fondness for languages.
Yeah.
You know, so...
You just had an ear?
And when I went to work in Waterford Crystal then, and working with Germans and Italians and...
Yeah, we'll come on to that in 1 second. When did you move out? Where were you? You were brought up where, at Cork Road, you said?
Well, first of all, I was born on Convent Hill.
Okay.
All them houses are gone, moved up to Taker Avenue down to the Cork Road. And I got married in 1962. I'll be 54 years married now this August coming.
And your wife, where was she from?
Dungarvan.
All right.
Yeah.
And where did you meet her?
In the renowned bar. She was pulling good pints and making sandwiches.
Oh, she was behind the bar.
She was indeed,
Oh,
yeah.
a bar woman.
Yeah, bar woman, yeah.
And so you took a shine to her.
Well, we'd say that.
Or else she was trying to get free drink you were after.
No.
Okay.
That.
So, and then you got married, and then did you move out to St. John's Park at that stage?
I know, we lived with my mother and father, and we go to them, both of them, and we moved out in 1964.
Okay.
So
And
I'm 52 years out
What
here.
was St. John's Park like at that stage?
St. John's Park, I tell you, it was... the reputation wasn't great, but that didn't reflect on the great people that lived here. You know, it's like everything else, it would have been a minority.
Yeah. Causing trouble.
Yeah, causing trouble of sorts, yeah.
Are you okay, Martin? You all right? Okay. And so the place had a rough reputation, but you didn't really find it like that.
Not at all,
Okay.
not at all.
And then did you go into the glass factory? Was that your first job, or where did you work?
No, I started off as a cabinet maker down with Teddy Foley in Springard Alley. But I discovered I couldn't hammer a nail straight, so I was no addition to being a cabinet maker.
And then what happened then?
I moved, got into the glass factory.
And did you go in as an apprentice?
Well, everyone went in as an apprentice, really, into the glass factory. But you started off at the bottom, carrying in glasses and, you know, holding moulds. And
were you working in the blowing section?
I was working in the blowing, yeah.
And would you remember the blowers that were there at that stage? Which was this in Johnstown?
And as a matter of fact, I started, I worked over in Ballytruckle.
Okay,
And-
so that was
and-
the very early stage.
That would have been in the very early stages, yeah.
Okay, and so who would you remember there at that stage? Who were the big people that were...
Well, there was a man lived next door here. His name was Rudolph Mulak. Second up from us was Max Gustel. And there was, you know, there was Italians, and we mixed with a lot of them, you know.
And you were just going in there working and...
Working there,
And
yeah.
was it kind of fairly exotic having all these people here or there?
It's fairly hard, all right.
It's tough work.
Beg your pardon?
It was tough work.
Well, look, it was, when you start off at any job, it's tough, you know. It was a new deal for me. You know.
And did you become a blower?
I was a blower, yeah.
All right.
Blower and the soda, which was bareware and so on and so forth, you know.
Okay. And I mean, it's very hot work, wasn't it?
Yes, it certainly was. You wouldn't know the seasons. It was work. You worked in the summer. It was warm and sweaty, and same applied in winter.
Yeah. So, and then, so, and did you stay then throughout your...
I was there for 35 years,
Okay.
and I took the early retirement in 1987. And we were called back there in October 89 to March 1990 in Dungarvan.
Okay.
So I had the distinction of working in the 5 different factories.
That's
you know.
amazing.
Yeah.
So you worked Ballytruckle, Johnstown, Kilbarry,
Butlerstown
and Butlerstown, and
and
Dungarvan.
Dungarvan. Yeah.
Jeez, that's a record.
Well, there was a few of us have that.
Yeah, there won't
you
be
know.
many now.
No.
And so in St. John's Park then, you used to get cycling going out here, didn't you?
Well, I tell you, I had the pleasure of organising the Park O'Nefa, Ross Park O'Nefa, we called it, you know. And the thing that I remember most about him, we just go with the date we would have our cycling. When we'd fix the date. The date comes along, and maybe 2 hours before the race start, we would go around and ask people to take in their cars off the road. And the support that we got would have to be seen to be believed, which belies what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
St. John's Park was a terrific place to organise, and it went off safely. The dogs were kept in, which they used to have plenty of around the place.
Yeah, because that would be a big danger for cycling, wouldn't it?
It would, oh Jesus, would, yeah. It would have been very serious altogether, you know.
And then the races then, obviously at that stage too, people wouldn't have racing bicycles, would they?
Well, no, those that were into cycling
Okay.
would have had racing
Like a
bikes.
few serious fellas, would they?
Yeah, and that we would have run under 12s, 14s, 16s. Now these would be separate races. So for under 14, under 12, 14, 16, and 18, which would be junior, junior, and then senior. And the cooperation, as I said, not alone, we had plenty of cooperation from the Garda Síochána. And above all, and I want to emphasise this, the generosity of John Brady and Mary Brady of the Brady's Bar and their sponsorship.
For prizes and things like
For
that.
prizes and things like that, you know, it was top class.
That's great. And come here, so they'd be racing around the area.
And you had to be good. You had to be a bike handler as well, because if you're familiar now with St. John's Park and the various corners, and when we say various, they're sharp corners.
Okay.
But we had some great young lads that came through that, like, you know.
Yeah.
We had All-Ireland champions that trained on that. My own son, Eamon O'Ceallaigh, Thomas Hayes just lived across the road from us. He got an All-Ireland medal. Damien Long won the Junior All-Ireland, and Damien is well into his 40s now, and he won a veterans race there last week or so.
Yeah.
We had Declan. We had 3 Olympians. Now remember this: 3 Olympians practiced or raced on that circuit. There was Kieran Power, Stephen Spratt, and Declan Unigan. And they went on to win international fame.
So as young lads, they raced around here.
As young lads, and they probably got their sprinting skills and their bike handling skills there, you know. They had to have them, otherwise they'd be all over the road to do it.
Yeah.
And like they won, Declan Unigan has 20 All-Ireland medals. 20 All-Ireland medals, time trial medals, track medals, and he was the first Irishman to win a World Cup cycling event down in Havana, in Cuba. I'm almost certain it might be 20 years ago.
And he was in the Tour de France as well, wasn't he?
No, Declan wasn't in the Tour de France, but he would have been in the Commonwealth Bank Classic in Australia. And there's a great photograph, if you're interested in seeing it, of him winning a sprint. And there behind him was the world champion, Jan Ullrich of Tour de France fame. And
he bet him.
yeah, Tour de France fame and world champion fame.
Okay.
But there was Declan. It'll be in a photograph you should look at. Yeah.
And whereas you're still, at this stage, you still cycle.
I do indeed, yes.
So tell us what you cycle today. If you were going out today now, where would you go?
Well, first of all, I'd look at my watch when I come down here. And I'd cycle down,
You look at your watch, would that be you time yourself?
Yeah, time myself, yeah.
Okay.
I'd go down there, down the Folly, out to Cork Road to Orcharstown, turn left at Orcharstown, go on to Knocking Cross, and head for Dunhill, but take the Bog Road to Fenner, Tramore, Pickerstown, come in the Pickerstown and come in the Airport Road. And I look at my watch then again, and I would it'd be either 2 or 3 minutes after 2 hours, or sometimes it's before 2 hours. You know,
So you do that in 2 hours, and how many kilometres?
As I said to you earlier, I love talking kilometres because it seems you're doing hundreds of miles, but it's 42 kilometres, which is 26 miles.
Okay.
You know,
And you do that in 2 hours?
I do that in 2 hours.
Not a bother to you?
Well, no, not really. And I have 3 trips to do now this year, and I had 4, but unfortunately I won't be doing the Father Colm O'Brien trip this year from Clonmel to Tramore. Now, Father Colm he was a young soggart who died at 36 years of age. And I do that cycle with hundreds of others every year. But this year, unfortunately, I'm going to London for a very special occasion.
Okay.
And then Sunday week, which is the 24th, is it? I'm doing the trip in Navan with my son. It's the Heritage Tour. As a matter of fact, it's in Trim, not Navan. And I'm doing the Heritage Tour with him, and he'll come down and do the Sean Kelly with me. And then after that, Baz, it'll be from the Woodlands Hotel down to Passage, New Ross back home. You know, so.
And Muiris, can I ask what age you?
You can ask her. The Crown of Deogs, May Sloan, I'll be 80 years of age in October, 28th of October.
That's fantastic. I mean, that you can still do that in 2 hours, that journey that you do regularly.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say a lot of people half your age wouldn't be able to do that now.
Don't knock them.
And I was talking to John Gator the other day, and he was saying that his family has benefited an awful lot from cycling.
Well, I hope they have.
Yeah.
And because they were, first of all, most of us here in Waterford who went to bicycle races would have seen the country, parts of the country that they wouldn't have had a hope of seeing. And that to me was and competed against different people, argued with different people, and, whatever.
So there's a big social side.
It was a big social side,
And as you say, you see the countryside like you never see.
Yeah. Like it was. I organised. The All Ireland Championships, underage All Ireland Championships in Mondello Park for 4 years, from 1979 to 1983, and it was sponsored by Gluco Plus. Now that was the reason why I talked that one. That was the first of the get-together of the 3 organisations, cycling organisations, and that to me gives me a.
So you brought the 3 different groups together?
No, I didn't bring them to it. They came together for that.
Fantastic, yeah.
And as a result of that, we have Cycling Ireland now, which is only one body of cycling in Ireland.
That's great.
And I feel that.
And Muiris, I'm sorry for bringing this up, but I have to do it. I mean, are you discouraged by all the kind of scandals in the drugs and all that in cycling in recent years?
Well, first of all, that I wouldn't be say discouraged. I think cycling is a great sport and everyone should be at it. But maybe where I would be discouraged was that it was known to be going on.
Okay.
And the powers that be done nothing about it. Like the powers that be had. I remember one particular man when Paul Kimmage brought out his book, A Rough Ride. One particular man in high positions said to me, "Look at the damage he's doing to cycling." But look at the damage them drugs done to some of the. If we only hear of the fellas who have survived, and who have got the doctors looking after them. What about the misfortunate domestiques who bought the drugs and administered them themselves, only to be found on the side of the road? There was 10 of them died mysteriously from 1986 to 94. There was 10 of them. There was no investigation into that. Now that's what I would be annoyed with. The powers that be that knew it was going on.
Okay. I mean, and then we have seen, we say, a lot more people now cycling in Ireland in recent years.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably more of a health conscious thing going on.
It would be, yeah.
But you were saying that there's not so many cycling competitively.
No, there's not. Well, you take the crowd, we put 2 lots of people here. Those who take part in the triathlons, and then the racing cyclists. And then we call the others the joyriders. And put them in a put them in a charity event. Well, the speed they'd be going, so they wouldn't be going as fast in Ross-Talton, just to prove their worth, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, would you still be hopeful that we'll get back good cycling teams coming out of Ireland in the future?
Of course, yeah. And like there's a far better setup now. You have to prove yourself now. Where one time you're depending upon who you knew to get on the teams. You know, now you have to prove yourself, and there's a high standard, and rightly so set. You know.
Okay. What else do you want to say about St. John's Park before we finish? Because
well, I hope you won't finish just for
life.
a moment, because I boast about St. John's Park, but I also organised the worker sports down in the People's Park, and the only reason I'm saying that is that the golf track is still there, but we had no cycling on it since 1984. It was built in 1896 or 1894, and the last sports meeting was there in 1884. And it's lying idle there where we could be teaching kids, encouraging them to do the right thing, about when they go out on the bike, you know. Yeah, you have your sprinters. We had a lot of sprinters in Waterford, and they all developed their sprints on the golf track, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pity. It's a shame, really, that the track is gone, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and as a matter of fact, this great city and the council have done great work. But if I was given, and they've got many honours, but if I was given a Buin Nora or a medal of shame, it would be for what they've done, what they didn't do for the golf track.
Oh.
And it's still not too late.
Okay.
They could do it.
But the Greenway now opens up a little bit of, again, you'll get the pleasure. The cyclists will love that, be able to cycle from Waterford to Dungarvan.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will.
But it's not your guy.
No, my gang. Well, I use the roads I use, as I said earlier, would be Boreens, and you know, and
Country roads.
Well, I might ride it for someday, you know. But I would hope that they'd have a strict policy there, you know, some sort of control, you know, because as you know, we have lots of things here, and it's the mistakes at the beginning are not seen to that makes it worse and worse, you know. France and World Championships, and and that's our boy from St. John's Park.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
It is indeed, yeah.
And what year was that?
I'm glad you asked me that. 1993.
All right. And what does it say there? Left to right, Gary Anderson, New Zealand. Declan Lonergan, Ireland. Grant Rice, Jan Ulrich.
Yeah, that's the fellow we're talking about now. There's a lot of, he came from East Germany, you know, but there's plenty of drugs, you know.
A lot of stories about him.